On April 13, 2010, Cathay Pacific Flight 780 departed Surabaya, Indonesia, bound for Hong Kong. Captain Malcolm Waters, a seasoned pilot with Cathay Pacific, and First Officer David Hayhoe, an experienced former Royal Australian Air Force aviator, were at the helm. The Airbus A330 carried 309 passengers and 13 crew members, all anticipating a smooth journey. The initial climb appeared normal, but a flicker of warning on the instrument panel shattered the sense of normalcy. Both engines exhibited fluctuations in engine pressure ratio, EPR, indicating an inability to maintain optimal thrust. The situation escalated further when the electronic Centralized Aircraft Monitoring System, ECAM, displayed a troubling message: Engine 2 control system fault and Engine 2 slow response. With the aircraft cruising at high altitude, the malfunctioning right engine demanded immediate attention. Captain Waters contacted Air Traffic Control, ATC, to understand the cryptic messages. While the right engine posed problems, the left engine seemed operational for the time being. This seemingly positive development allowed the flight to continue, a decision that would later be scrutinized. As preparations for descent began, the control system fault message for the right engine reappeared, accompanied by a warning against rapid thrust changes. The growing anxiety in the cockpit was palpable. Despite these concerns, ground control advised maintaining course and monitoring engine parameters. As Cathay Pacific Flight 780 neared Hong Kong and prepared for descent, the situation careened towards catastrophe. A loud bang resonated through the cockpit, followed by a pungent burning odor. The once calm atmosphere was replaced with a sense of urgency. The ECAM bombarded the crew with critical warnings: Engine 1 control system fault, and then the most alarming of all, Engine 2 stall. Both engines were incapacitated, leaving the pilots with no choice but to declare a full-blown mayday, the universal distress call reserved for imminent danger. Cleared for a further descent, the crew resorted to the desperate measure of feathering both engines, essentially turning the aircraft into a giant glider. Without any engine power, a safe landing hinged on maximizing glide distance and the crew's piloting skills. Captain Waters, with nerves of steel and years of experience under his belt, switched to manual control and aimed for the green dot speed. This specific speed is crucial in a complete engine failure scenario, maximizing the distance the aircraft can travel without power. He desperately manipulated the thrust levers, his every action driven by the singular goal of regaining some semblance of control over the crippled aircraft. Fortunately, his efforts yielded a modicum of success. He managed to coax some life back into engine number 1, providing enough thrust to keep the aircraft from plummeting into the South China Sea. With a belly full of fear and adrenaline, the crew resorted to desperate maneuvers. Captain Waters initiated a series of sharp S-turns, known as zigzagging, to bleed off some airspeed. This tactic offered a risky but potentially life-saving benefit: additional time and distance before reaching the runway. The speed brakes were deployed further to decelerate the aircraft. Despite these efforts, the airspeed remained alarmingly high, triggering the dreaded overspeed warning. The aircraft slammed onto the runway at a staggering 231 knots, nearly twice the recommended landing speed. The impact was brutal, causing the aircraft to bounce repeatedly as it careened down the runway. Only one engine's thrust reversers deployed properly, adding another layer of complexity. Captain Waters slammed on the brakes, the smell of burning rubber filling the cockpit. The brakes, already under immense stress, groaned under the pressure. The aircraft screeched to a halt just over 300 meters from the end of the runway, 5 of its 8 tires shredded from the ordeal. Exhaustion and relief washed over the crew as they finally brought the crippled aircraft to a stop. The ordeal had lasted a grueling hour and a half, pushing both the aircraft and the crew to their limits. The evacuation process unfolded with commendable efficiency. All 309 passengers, along with the 13 crew members, disembarked the aircraft. While there were injuries, thankfully, there were no casualties. The crew of Cathay Pacific Flight 780 had successfully performed a near-miraculous feat, landing a severely compromised aircraft and saving hundreds of lives. Investigations revealed a shocking truth. The culprit behind the engine malfunctions wasn't pilot error, but a seemingly innocuous substance, superabsorbent polymer, SAP particles. These SAP particles, commonly found in some industrial products, had somehow contaminated the aircraft's fuel system. The contaminated fuel caused the fuel system components to seize, leading to a complete loss of thrust control in both engines. Further investigation revealed a series of unfortunate lapses in maintenance procedures. The fuel supply pipeline system hadn't received proper maintenance, allowing salt water to enter and weaken the filter monitors. These compromised filters in turn allowed SAP particles to contaminate the fuel. These particles jammed the intricate mechanisms within the fuel metering unit, causing the erratic engine behavior and the cascade of alarming warnings the crew had encountered. The near disaster of Cathay Pacific Flight 780 sent shockwaves through the aviation industry. It wasn't just about the dramatic landing. It exposed vulnerabilities in fuel system maintenance and contamination prevention. Here's how the incident triggered a chain reaction of positive change. Enhanced fuel quality monitoring. Airlines around the world implemented stricter protocols for fuel quality checks. More frequent testing and tighter filtering systems became the norm to prevent similar contamination issues. Improved maintenance procedures, inspections of fuel pipelines and filter systems became more rigorous, with a focus on identifying potential entry points for foreign substances. Standardized training. Pilot training programs incorporated scenarios involving fuel system malfunctions and loss of engine control. This allowed pilots to be better prepared for emergency situations and react more effectively. Industry-wide collaboration. The International Air Transport Association, IAT, and other industry bodies facilitated the sharing of information and best practices to prevent similar incidents from happening again. Airbus A330 Handbook Update. As mentioned earlier, Airbus included a dedicated section in the A330 handbook to address potential fuel system contamination. This provided pilots with specific guidance on identifying and responding to such situations. The Cathay Pacific Flight 780 incident served as a stark reminder of the importance of diligent maintenance procedures. Fuel quality monitoring protocols were significantly improved, and oversight was tightened to prevent similar incidents in the future. Airbus, the aircraft manufacturer, took steps to address the issue by incorporating a new section in the A330 handbook, specifically addressing potential fuel system contamination. In recognition of their extraordinary skill and composure under pressure, Captain Waters and First Officer Hayhoe were awarded the prestigious Polaris Award by the International Federation of Airline Pilots Associations, IFALPA, in 2014. Their actions on that fateful day exemplified the true meaning of heroism in aviation, saving hundreds of lives through a combination of exceptional piloting skills, unwavering courage, and a commitment to keeping everyone on board safe. The actions of Captain Waters and First Officer Hayhoe on Cathay Pacific Flight 780 transcended saving just the 322 people on board. Their bravery and exceptional piloting skills under immense pressure became a shining example of professional excellence in aviation. The Mayday call from Flight 780 not only triggered a scramble to land the aircraft, but also served as a wake-up call for the entire aviation industry. The incident's legacy is a continuous pursuit of safety improvements, ensuring that passengers can board a plane with the utmost confidence in their journey. Let us know what you think of this incident in the comments below.